got big little legs. Skinny.
I think it's finally time that we have to talk about the Golden State Warriors' future, because it was just announced that Lauri Markkanen has signed a 5-year, $238 million new contract extension. That means he's not going to the Warriors. It actually means he's not going to anybody next year because he can't get traded next year. You got to wait for 6 months, which pushes him past the trade deadline. So he can't get traded till 2025 to 2026. In my opinion, them extending them is just them telling us that they're not trading him at all. And it was reported a couple days ago that Steph is closely monitoring the situation with the Golden State, and he's going to be mad if they don't do anything during the deadline. He probably don't think this team is good enough, and he might leave. Now, to think that Steph Curry might leave the Warriors is like thinking Kobe's going to leave the Lakers, but I'm not gonna lie, this team is not doing anything to help him out. The Warriors' final offer for Lauri was Moses Moody, multiple first-round picks, pick swap second round. That's not even, no. What are the Warriors just not serious? You're not gonna get Lauri Markkanen for Moses Moody. In my opinion, the Warriors just unserious because Lauri Markkanen is an all-star. You don't trade Moses Moody for an all-star and think it's gonna work. Multiple first-round picks, pick swap, yes, but you got to throw somebody else in, at least Kaminsky or B-Pod, and they have shown that Brandon Podziemski is untouchable. So they actually blocked Wiggins from the Olympics for no reason because they're going to use him to get Paul George, but that didn't work because the Warriors declined the trade. Chris Paul left for nothing, so you get nothing for Chris Paul or Wiggins. That falls through. You're not going to get Lauri because you don't want to trade Brandon Podziemski or Jonathan Kuminga. You lost Klay Thompson. So all this stuff right here is just, biased. What is next for the Golden State Warriors? I'm going to try not to be negative. I'm going to try to look at everything on the positive side for the Golden State Warriors. And they're saying that Brandon Podziemski is the guard of their future. And listen, I like Brandon Podziemski. I think he's going to be really good in the NBA. My fear for the Warriors is just the new fit of the team. I feel like they're going to have to find a brand new identity. Number one, because they lost Klay Thompson and they're not going to be able to run the same type of offense that they did. But number two, Brandon Podziemski is going to be huge for this team next year because number one, they didn't want to trade him. And number two, they're saying he's the guard of their future. And we've seen him replace Klay Thompson out of all people for the Warriors in the starting lineup last year. Brandon Podziemski is a replacement for Chris Paul, in my opinion, more than Klay Thompson. He does things on the court that Chris Paul can't because of his size and, age. But in my opinion, he is best when he has the ball in his hands and he's controlling the pace of the offense. I think the Warriors, looking forward, should have him at point guard. Now, I know there's probably no written, this is the point guard, this is the shooting guard when it comes to the Warriors because they have Stephen Curry. And yes, Curry could be listed at point guard. I don't really care about what's listed or whatever's right, But in my opinion, Brandon Podziemski should be in control of the pace of the offense. They should be trusting this guy year two because of how much they're valuing him. I think he's elite at controlling a pace of an offense, and he's really good in the pick and roll, which is why I think the Warriors are going to have to find a new identity if they want this guy to be the future. The question is, what is going to happen with Steph Curry? In my opinion, he's not ever going to leave the Warriors. That's what I believe until I see otherwise. But how is he going to fit with this team, this young team? I think it's time for the Warriors to start developing finally their youth. Is Steve Kerr going to be able to want to do that? Because we've seen in the past, he kind of refuses to do it because, I don't know, maybe he just felt like he had to play Klay. But now Klay's gone. So maybe it is time to develop somebody like Moses Moody. I know they offered him in the Lauri trade, but I think it's time to develop him because, in my opinion, the best person on the Warriors roster to replace Klay is not Buddy Hield, it's not Brandon Podziemski, it's not DeAnthony Melton, it is Moses Moody. He plays like Klay Thompson. He could come off the screens like Klay Thompson. Brandon Podziemski is not a player that's going to be coming off screens and getting open threes. He's not really known to be a catch and shoot player. Can he become that? Who knows, bro? He's young. He could become anything that they develop him to become. But I honestly think his highest potential is as a 1, not a 2. Not as an off-ball, catch and shoot, off a screen type of player. He's more of a, I'm going to play some defense, I'm going to be scrappy, and I'm going to control the pace of the game. My opinion, I think the Warriors will benefit from foregoing. Warriors will benefit if they choose to go younger, because I think Brandon Podziemski could increase the pace. I think Chris Paul being there for 1 year probably helped out his development even more. But now is the time where Jonathan Kuminga is going to take a huge step in the upcoming season. I expect Jonathan Kuminga to be averaging 20 points a game next year. I expect him to have a Jordan Poole breakout type of season because now everything is freed up for him. I also want to think about Wiggins. Where is Andrew Wiggins going to fit with this team? Because where is his mental at right now too? You got to think about the Warriors denied his access to go to the Olympics, which he probably didn't want to go to either way because he agreed to it. But they also involved him in every single trade imaginable, and now he's still on the team. Now, they didn't put him in any trades for Lauri Markkanen, but the Paul George thing is there. That's probably still in his mind. He had a offseason last year. I'm not going to say he was horrible, but he was not what the Warriors wanted him to be. And that hurt them last year because they did not have a number 2 scoring option. I think next year, the number 2 scoring option has to be Jonathan Kuminga. I seen it towards the end of last year, the second half of last season. Jonathan Kuminga was taking a huge step. Number 1, most importantly, is because he was actually getting the minutes he deserved by Steve Kerr, who finally put him in the starting lineup, but it was only because Draymond was suspended. Otherwise, I don't think Steve Kerr would have put him in the starting lineup. Also, there's a lot of pushback from fans, but there's also pushback from fans for Moses Moody, and he still didn't play. But also, I don't think there was really a spot for Moses Moody. Now there is, that Clay is gone. All right, now let's talk about some of the signings in the offseason, if it's really going to make a difference. We're starting with DeAnthony Melton. Warriors lose Chris Paul, so they lose somebody that's going to be able to come off the bench, even though Chris Paul didn't want to do that in the first place, because Brandon Podziemski is going to be in the starting lineup. DeAnthony Melton is a really solid backup guard. I seen it when he was in Philly and when he had James Harden. When he would come off the bench, he would do a great job keeping the pace up, keeping the scoring up, and I think the Warriors have lacked that since the departure of Jordan Poole. So hopefully DeAnthony Melton's going to help them off the bench scoring-wise, because last year it was Corey Joseph, and that was not working. That's a plus, but is it a game changer? Probably not. Then we got Buddy Hield, which is probably the replacement for Klay Thompson if you want to try to find one. He's an elite shooter off the dribble. He could come off screens. He's going to fit within the Warrior system. Is that going to take minutes away from Moses Moody? I don't know. But I think Buddy Hield might have a better season than what he had last year. It was really rocky last year. He got traded in the middle of the season, and then he had to adjust to a new team, which is always hard. That's why I always give him the benefit of the doubt. But in the playoffs, he did flash some moments where he was hot, you know? So I think the Warriors got something with Buddy Hield. It's just how fast is he going to be able to become comfortable in this system? Also, how many minutes is he going to get? And I think this is going to put pressure on the Warriors in the season if Brandon Podziemski is struggling shooting. Because I love B-Pod's energy. I think he's a Gary Payton type of player on defense. He's something that you need on your team. But I'm not saying he can't shoot. I think he's a great shooter. But when you have Buddy Hield behind you and everything is indicating that he's going to fit within the system of the Warriors, I feel like he's going to put pressure on Brandon Podziemski to be able to shoot that thing consistently. And we have seen their organization has zero patience with shooters missing. We've seen it with Klay Thompson. In my opinion, I think you have to be patient with shooters. Now, you could argue that Klay was trying to do too much to find his rhythm back. That's valid. That's valid. You know, sometimes Klay would try to do too much to try to find the rhythm back when he just realizes it's not his night. And then also his ego, you know, I'm Klay Thompson. I have 4 championships. I can't go to the bench. I got to get things working. I think he put too much pressure on himself. So I think that kind of made it awkward. A lot of tension. That's now gone. The tension's alleviated so they could play more freely. I think you guys will see more free Warriors basketball, because the fit last year just honestly was it didn't make sense when they got Chris Paul, because he plays at a different pace than everybody else. He needs a big man to roll. He had that with Dario Saric early, and then he went down. Dario Saric just fell off. And we got to talk about who replaced Dario Saric, and that's Kyle Anderson, and that is a huge positive. I think Kyle Anderson is one of the most underrated players in the league, and I honestly think he's going to fit with the Warriors. This is going to be the Draymond off the bench, because we've seen in that Minnesota and Mavericks series when Minnesota was struggling against the defense that was being played by Dallas, Kyle Anderson, of all people, was the solution, because they were helping from the weak side, and the Timberwolves were young, I think, and they just couldn't figure it out because they had an interim head coach. I don't know what the circumstances were, but he said, hey, look, they're helping from this weak side. Hey, come over here. I'm gonna set a screen so when they try to recover or rotate, they can't. He's a smart player, and it kind of reminds me of Draymond Green, because he could get those DHOs, even though a lot of Warriors fans say he can't shoot. You know, he's slow. He's going to ruin the pace. I think this is the type of player, he don't need to be a shooter for your team. He could catch the ball, give you a handoff, get you open, and when he slips and they, blitz, he could hit that midi. He's got the floater in his bag, and he could play make. I think this is a great addition for the Warriors. In my opinion, it's the most underrated signing of all offseason, because we've seen everywhere Kyle Anderson goes, he makes an impact for that team. Honestly, I don't think the fall off is going to be that crazy. Like, I still think the Warriors can be competitive, obviously, because they still got Dre and Curry. And Brandon Podzinski is coming in. But I think this is more of a development season. And I want Warriors fans to know that and to be patient. Especially the fans that just started, 2015 being the fans. And they've been on top of the world ever since then. There comes times in sports where there's going to be lows. I've been a Bears fan and a Lakers fan through lows. I know what lows, I'm a Cubs fan. I know what lows feel like in sports. And sometimes it's a beautiful thing, because it gives younger players time to develop, something the Lakers did not let our team do, because we traded them away. And I feel like the Warriors are not going to go that route. We've seen they're not trading to win right now, which is a fear that Warriors fans should have, because it's like, okay, now how's Steph Curry going to react to that? Is he going to get annoyed? Because we've seen LeBron they're not the same. LeBron and Curry are not the same, okay? Don't get mad. But we've seen superstars like LeBron get impatient when your team is not giving him a chance to win, and he knows his career is getting towards the end. We've seen the same thing in football with Aaron Rodgers getting mad with the Packers, and I'm so happy he left. But this is time to develop your younger players. In my opinion, if I'm a GM, it sucks. It sucks, especially when your fan base has such high expectations. But I think for the first time in a long time, Warriors fans don't have the highest expectations of winning a championship this year. They just want to see a team that can compete for the play-in, compete for the playoffs. And then you never know, because you got Steph Curry and Draymond Green. I think it's the perfect time to try to develop some players. This is year 2 Trayce Jackson-Davis. We seen towards the second half of last season, this man stepped up. He was huge. In my opinion, he reminds me a lot of Derek Lively. The role that he plays reminds me a lot of Derek Lively. So I want to see a lot more Brandon Podzinski and Trayce Jackson-Davis, because I think those two combined, that duo, can be something special, especially when you got Curry off ball around that, which I don't know the Warriors are going to do. And that's why I said I think the Warriors would benefit with playing Curry off the ball and B-Pod more on the ball. Let B-Pod have some two-man game with Trayce. Although Curry could do it too, trust me. Curry, you got to blitz him. You got to be up on the screen, and then it's going to leave a free roller. Blah. Okay. But I think you should play Curry off the ball with Dre, some off screens, and then have Trayce and B-Pod run the two-man game, and then space around him with Buddy Hield. I'm still forgetting those 2 X factors for the Warriors. One of those being Jonathan Kuminga. Bro, I'm telling you, this man is going to be really, really good in the NBA. This is your second scoring option when things go bad. This guy, Jonathan Kuminga, there's a reason the Warriors did not trade him for Lauri Markkanen. In my opinion, his ceiling could be as high as Lauri Markkanen, even higher. Throughout all the moves or non-decisions the Warriors decided to make this offseason, even if you believe they've been bad, I think that there's a positive, and I think they did the right thing this offseason, because the number one priority, in my opinion, was keeping Jonathan Kuminga, especially from what I seen last year. It's just the fit. He's got to find his role within the system of the Warriors. And that's why I think the Warriors can actually benefit from not having Klay, because it opens up a spot. It opens up a different role for the team, being that second option. I think Steve Kerr is a good coach. He's coached many different players, many different systems, because he's been coaching the Olympics and the tournaments the years before. So I think he can find that role for Jonathan Kuminga. I think it might take some time, and I think that might be the downfall, is time, because Warriors fans, I know I keep saying fans. When I'm saying that, I'm saying the organization as a whole doesn't have, we'll see if they have the patience to go through another rebuild. In my opinion, Mike Dunleavy's got the patience. We've seen he's not rushing any decision. He wants to develop these young guys. I think they got the patience. So I think no matter what, I think the Warriors are going to develop these guys, whether the fans like it or not. They might have some losing seasons. It might take some getting used to. There might be a lot of bad games. But I think the Warriors' future is bright post Stephen Curry. It's just, with Steph Curry, what's going to happen? If the Warriors want a chance to be competitive with Stephen Curry, these two guys right here got to play like we know they can. And not so much Kuminga, because I think he had a great season. Andrew Wiggins, bro. I need to see a better season from Andrew Wiggins. And I'm sure a lot of Warriors fans think the same thing, because in 2022, he's a big reason they won the NBA Finals. They were considering him to be the NBA Finals MVP. And I think that was rightfully so. They just need him to be able to be that third option or second option on offense to bail them out with a midi, or when they're helping so much, he's got to hit that catch and shoot three. I think Andrew Wiggins got to have a way better season, because last year, I know he could play better. I just don't know what's going on with Andrew Wiggins. You know, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in his life the last 2 years outside of basketball that's affected basketball itself for him and the Warriors organization. And then I think the Olympics whole thing, the trade talks add on to that. And I expect Andrew Wiggins to be in trade talks the entire season, kind of similar to the Lakers situation with D'Angelo Russell. He's going to be in trade talks and trade rumors the entire season, all the way up to the trade deadline. Warriors Twitter, I'm going to stop saying Warriors fans, Warriors Twitter, in my opinion, is probably going to be very impatient with Andrew Wiggins. They probably had enough of him if he has another bad game. And I believe he's probably going to be the scapegoat when the team is not performing good. I could be wrong, but you know, that's the point of me making a video and you commenting. I'm not going to ramble on too much more, bro. The one thing with the Warriors is they got to find a way to keep this guy happy. That's the most important thing. They got to keep this guy happy, because without Stephen Curry, what are the Warriors? Really think about it, bro. Can you guys, even non-Warriors fans, try to imagine this team without Stephen Curry? It just kind of hurts my soul a little bit. You know, it does. I think they got to keep this guy happy. So that's why I think Andrew Wiggins will be in trade rumors the whole season. And I'm worried about the patience level from the organization because of the pressure Curry should put on them. Rightfully, I think he should put the pressure on him. So I think that's going to be the biggest X factor going into next season. It's not going to be who's going to replace Klay, even though that's going to be a big thing. It's going to be how much patience is there? Are they going to make a trade, or are they going to develop these young guys? And how is Curry affected by that? So we got to monitor that throughout the season. We're still going to be reacting to every single Warriors game. You guys know I'm going to cover the Warriors the whole season. I'm actually very interested in them this year, especially with the new additions. Especially, I like to see Kyle Anderson's fit. I think he's going to be a really good fit for this team. I want to see Trace year 2. And obviously, Brandon Podzinski, I want to see him year 2. If you guys didn't know, before the draft even started, I was watching him in the draft combine. I watched a couple of YouTube videos of him when he was unknown. He wasn't even supposed to be drafted, to be honest. And I really like Brandon Podzinski. So I think if they could play him on the ball, Curry off the ball, and Curry kind of be that replacement for Klay Thompson, if that makes sense, I think that's going to benefit the Warriors a lot. And then Andrew Wiggins got to have a more consistent, solid season. Maybe not even consistent. He got to, I don't know, maybe it is consistency. What do you guys think Andrew Wiggins need? And Jonathan Kuminga just continue to do his thing. I hope he finds a new and improved consistent role within the team, and I think he will now that Klay Thompson is gone. And then we'll see the X factors of Buddy Hield and DeAnthony Melton. Yeah, I think I covered everything. How you guys feeling about the Warriors' chances next year? You guys excited? Are you guys worried? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Be sure to hit the like button to help out the channel. Go check out the Patreon if you guys missed out any Olympic reactions. They're all on there for free so far. And remember to hit the subscribe button, man. This is ZTAY. Peace.